Om. Sadasivasamaramabham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayana-samarambham Acharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Naham karta harihi karta tatpuja karmacharyanam Yadyat karma karomi tatstadakhiram Shambho Tavaradhanam. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Chidanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Krishnanandaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Shivaya. So very happy once again to have Darshana of all Mumkshus sitting in this particular auspicious study hall of Yoga Vedanta Forest Academy. We are all Mumkshus, correct? So that's the word that's commonly used. And what is a Mumukshu? The one who has a desire for liberation. And who will have the desire for liberation? The one who feels bound. The one who doesn't feel bound has no problem. He doesn't think liberation, but he thinks everything is fine. So if you are a normal mortal human being living in this world, they are very happy with the world. The way the things are progressing and they feel everything is right. I'm enjoying the life. That will not be called Mumukshu. So Mumukshu is when we realize the limitations or the finiteness, of the happiness, all that we can gain from our life, immediate life. And we think there is always an aspiration for higher value, higher truth in life. And that makes us a Mumukshu. What is the next step beyond Mumukshu? They are called Jignasu. So Jignasu, in Vedanta class, they consider as a little more elevated position than Mukshu. So Mukshu is you just have a burning desire that this is not good, I just want to get rid of this, be free from this. And ultimately, Jignasu, they have got a sincere aspiration, a keen inner desire to know the truth, to acquire the truth, to imbibe the truth, then that becomes a Jignasu. And that Mukshu Jignasu ultimately, they are able to attain to the ultimate goal of life. So let's see how it proceeds today. Yesterday we were discussing about the synthesis of yoga, the integral yoga as they call, correct? And what shall we call in Hindi? Integral yoga, Samanvaya yoga, correct? So that Samanvaya yoga is there, correct? That is what Swami Shivananda Maharaj said, and it is expressed differently by different states. Now, first of all, we are focusing on what Gurudev has said, Swami Shivananda Maharaj. And he said that essentially there are 4 paths or the 4 different types of yogas described here. And there is a perfect harmony among themselves. There is no contradiction. And he says all the 4 yogas are equally potent and equally efficacious. This is one word which I read yesterday. Now this has got a scientific meaning actually, also. So when you say all 4 yogas, we know all of them which are there, correct? So starting from Karma Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga, Raj Yoga, and Jnana Yoga like that. So he says all are equally potent and equally efficacious. So, is there any difference between these 2 terms? Or they look alike? Look alike. And they are not completely exclusive also. But in the modern science that we study right now, potent is something, where with a very lesser amount of, say, drug in case, supposing some drug is there, it acts at 1 milligram level. And other drug is acting at, say, 10 milligram level. The one which is acting at 1 milligram level will be called as a potent. So in a very small amount, in a very small measure, we are able to get the required effect. That's called as the potency. And efficacy, what is that? So efficacy is irrespective of the amount of substance or medicine which you take. If you are able to get the desired effect, then that is called as a efficacy or efficacious. So this is a purely scientific explanation, but same thing applies here also. I just thought when I was reading yesterday. But supposing some drug, if you take 10 milligram, and the other drug, if you take 100 milligram, and you are getting the same effect, then both are considered as efficacious. So even if you have to do more amount of work or more amount of sadhana, measure, but ultimately getting the same result, that means it is efficacious. So efficacy is getting the end result, and potency is in relation to the inputs which you put, correct? So lesser the input, more the potent the input, then that's called the potency. So he says all the 4 yogas are equally potent and equally efficacious, which means in some case realization may be instant or these terms. but both are efficacious. So in this sense also we can say that all the 4 yogas are efficacious. Now, we will go a little more in technical details also, but first we complete the way Gurudev has said, So essentially, out of these 4 also, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. That's how we say. So he says that there are 3 factors which are fundamental in the constitution of a human being. So one is will, one is feeling, and one is cognition. One is will, one is feeling, and one is cognition. So will represents which kind of yoga? Will represent Karma Yoga. And will is a very, very energetic, very powerful force which is kept by God within ourselves. And that's how say, where there is a will, there is a way we call in English very commonly. And Dharma Aviruddha Kameshu, that is also what is said also in Bhagavad Gita also, correct? That if you have a will, and will is something beyond the desire. In one of his books, Swami Shivanji Maharaj has made a very fine distinction between what is desire and what is will. So desire is a normal human kind of a faculty, whereas will is something higher. It has got some higher purpose embedded in the design, and will becomes a part of the Lord's overall infrastructure and the setup which is there, and there we decide what we want to do. So will is much higher than desire. You can understand that. Because will is something, only when there is a will, everything can happen. Vichya Sakti, Kriya Sakti, Jnana Sakti, Akshama. So will is something very important. Without that, nothing happens in life. The very fact that you have been able to come here and take part is because of the will which was there. So will represents that Karma Yoga. Feeling is that Bhakti Yoga, that only when we have a feeling, love, selfless love, only then that Bhakti becomes possible. And cognition is Jnana Yoga. So cognition, when we say Jnana Yoga, cognition means any kind of, what shall we say, cognition means, when you say knowledge, it means pramana. Any kind of pramana is required. Only then a knowledge will come. Without pramana, jnana will not come. And karma cannot lead to jnana that way, correct? So you need some pramana, and that cognition means some kind of a consciousness is involved in that also, correct? So where some kind of consciousness is there, and the cognition, some kind of a vritti, instinct happens within ourselves, and that we understand as knowledge. Right? So this Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, like he said. Right? Now Swamiji was a very poetic saint, and everything he used to write in very simple poetic phrases also. So I remember in one of his books, he describes this: knowledge is love in concentrated essence. I will not want you to speak this, but if you were the class, I would have said that, knowledge is love in concentrated essence. So, whenever you have got intense love for something, and when you completely devote yourself, apply yourself to that, then ultimately it transmutes into knowledge. So, knowledge and love, bhakti, they are not completely different. That's how it is said. Knowledge is love in concentrated essence. How will we define then love? Just the corollary. Love is knowledge in diffusive expression. These are Swamiji's words only I am saying, correct? Love is knowledge in diffusive expression. So because I have a love for something, then only, that only because love is knowledge in diffusive expression. So only when I have the right knowledge, only then the right love can come. Both are closely interconnected. So love is knowledge in diffusive expression. And service is love expressed through action. Service is love expressed through action. So only when you have a love for somebody, then you will serve that person, and that love you express in action, then that becomes a karma like that. So service is love expressed through action. So these are the 3 definitions which he has given. These are not typically what we find in the Shastras, but the way, we understand, the way we experience it, like that. So this is a beautiful way to say. And what does it mean? When you define the 3 terms, one are connected to each other. So they are not mutually exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive. So they are not completely independent of each other. Just as if you see that feeling action and cognition. They are not completely different. Only when there's a cognition, there's a feeling, and there's an action, they can't be separated completely. So that is how these three principal paths also cannot be differentiated in entirety, but for all practical purposes, we can understand and we can demarcate like that. So this definition he gave, and then he had a very, again as I say, very poetic way of saying things. So he used to say, this time I want you to chant with me also. First I'll speak out, then you can speak. He said, excellent service. That is, whenever you are serving, you should be excelling. Expand in love. That whenever we have love, our love is there, but the love is confined. That love is limited. But an expansion, is three-dimensional. Extension is two-dimensional. Right? So if something line is there, if I extend, then it's two-dimensional. Expansion is three-dimensional. So all beings, all objects, I should be loving because they are all manifestations of the Lord. Again, the knowledge and bhakti, they go together. But then excellent service, expand in love, advance in knowledge. So again, they go hand in hand, correct? Because everybody has some kind of a knowledge, whether it is paravidya, lower knowledge, whatever you call it. But that knowledge is there. So advance in knowledge. And we move from the lower knowledge to the higher. Realize yourself. So such it's just like a verse, If you read the particular sloka, this kind of a meaning, this kind of feeling, right from my childhood age, I have learned these words. And I always speak them with a lot of reverence, correct? So you can also speak with me. Excellent service. Excellent service. Expand in love. Expand in love. Advance in knowledge. Advance in knowledge. Realize the self. Realize the self. Excellent service. Excellent service. Expand in love. Expand in love. Advance in knowledge. Advance in knowledge. Realize the self. Realize the self. So in a very simple way, we just started with these 4 yogas. And Swamiji said so many things also, which we'll take in some later class. That if we read, some slokas, then we feel that one particular yoga is more important, like that, And he gives an explanation that this is just analogous to if you read different Puranas. If you read Shiva Purana, then you will see that Shiva Lord is the greatest. If you see Vishnu Purana, then you see Vishnu is the greatest deity. Devi Purana, Devi is the greatest deity. This he says in Puranas it is written just because that faith in that particular form of deity is cultivated. So God is not different, but He manifests in different forms. And unless and until we have an abounding faith in one particular form, we cannot reach the destination. So just to create that faith, this particular thing is there in Purana. And likewise, Swamiji also here says, just I'll give an example, that in the 5th chapter we say, Karma Sannyasat, Karma Yoga Vishishate, like they say, that Karma Sannyasat means in comparison to renunciation of the action, Karma Yoga Vishishate, like that. So Karma Yoga is higher, like that they say. So if we see the apparent meaning, you say, how can it be like that? We will see a little bit right now that Karma Sannyasa is a path of knowledge where we have to renunciate all the actions, and in this case we are only renouncing the fruits of action. So how can Karma Yoga, be superior to Karma Sannyasa like that, So that is a sloka says Karma Sannyasa, Karma Yoga Vishishate. But then if we go to deeper meaning, even read Swamiji's own text also, in this explanation also, or even in Shankar Bhashya also, and then explain that for those people who have the knowledge of the self, or who are keenly aspiring for the knowledge of the self, for them renunciation of the action or Jnana Yoga would be definitely superior. But only when we do not have the knowledge of the self, knowledge of the Brahman, and the Jnana is there, in that case, if you renunciate, that's not going to help us. So for those persons who do not have the knowledge of the self, in that case he says that Karma Yoga is desirable, and because Karma Yoga only leads to Jnana Yoga. That we just try to see today. So like that, so many other things he has said that they are different. In some case we will find that Bhakti Yoga is superior. Ananya Sintanto Maya Jana Paripasate, Esam Vikram Yuktanam Yogakshamam Bahamyam. Sometimes we feel that Raja Yoga is great, Tasma Yogi Bhavarjuna. So he says all these things are because any particular aspirant is there, in any particular path, just to create that faith in him. That is one way of looking at it. Can we look at it in some other way also? That is what Swamiji has said, that just because whoever is following a particular path, for him he will get the great faith, just to increase his Shraddha like that. Can there be any other way of looking at it? I was just trying to think that when you say at different places that Karma Yoga is superior, sometimes you say Bhakti Yoga is superior, sometimes you say Jnana Yoga is superior. So what does it mean? As I said earlier also, these yogas are not mutually exclusive. When we are pursuing any one particular path also, in one way or the other, there is some element or some part of the other yoga also. So that is how it can be seen in entirety also, that any particular yoga, if you perform or if you follow, there will be always some element of the other yogas. So that is how we can see it's an integral path. But it may apparently look that this is predominant, or you may say that one particular feature is predominant, other things are supplementary like that. So all are not mutually exclusive. That's another way we can look at it. Right? So it's all about this. And again, Swamiji used to say that it all depends upon the temperament of a person, that which particular yoga will suit me. So for a man of active temperament, obviously it is Karma Yoga. For a man of devotional temperament, just correct. Devotional temperament, you say Bhakti Yoga suits. And whom for Raj Yoga? Which kind of temperament will say? Inquisitiveness, you can say. Mystic temperament. Inquisitiveness will go more with Jnana Yoga that way. But mystic temperament, Rahasyavadi, correct? So those who want to understand the inner functionality of the mind and all that. So those who have mystic temperament, then Raj Yoga will suit like that. And for those who have got the rational temperament, want to understand everything intellectually, theoretically, for the Jnana Yoga will suit. Like that again he has said. There's somebody was saying something? Yeah.
I have a question. I think for me, I understand Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. I know you said Raj Yoga.
Yeah.
What is Raj Yoga?
We'll just come to that. I'm just going to write something and I'll just take part. Raj Yoga normally is understood as this Patanjali Yoga Sutra, what you understand, correct? So that kind of sadhana which we do by Hatha Yoga and Raj Yoga, correct? So this Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, that normally is referred to as Hatha Yoga, and Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dhyan, Samadhi, that's called as a Raj Yoga. So Raj Yoga is considered as Raj Yoga is very prime yoga, and that is something more a path of meditation, or meditation yoga we can call it. Correct? So Raj Yoga normally means meditation yoga. Antara sadhana, Bahira sadhana. So normally what is understand yoga, as commonly people understand is Raj Yoga. In the common parlance, if you talk on anybody, I am yogi, I am practicing yoga, means you always understand is practice Hatha Yoga or the Raj Yoga. So it is yoga of meditation, what is essentially described in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Correct? I think that's fine. Correct? So we go further. Now let us try to see things in a little more analytical way here also. Correct? These 4 yogas, as Swami just said, and integral yoga, that is considered the heart of Bhagavad Gita also. Correct? Now, when we see Bhagavad Gita, when it opens, then in the 3rd chapter, 3rd verse, that is a very landmark kind of a verse, and it gives a complete idea about how do we approach in our spiritual sadhana. Correct? So what is that sloka? 3rd chapter, 3rd verse. Lokesmin dvida nishtha pura prokta maya nagar. So Lord says that these I had said to in previous words in different places. So 1000 years before also he has said. So which means he himself is Parabrahman, he is himself is Ishvara. Otherwise how would he say that this is what I had said 1000 years before, million years before? So Lokesh means Dvida Nishtha, Pura Prokta, means I had said earlier, Maya Naga, Arjuna. And what is that? Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. Bhagavan here says that there are 2 types of Nishtha. Dvida Nishtha. Nishtha means lifestyle. Nishtha means like a path, approach like that. So the 2 types of path in the spiritual sadhana or 2 types of Nishtha. That is Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. So here Sankhya does not mean Sankhya Darshan. Here in the 2nd chapter also Bhagavad Gita, we have got that Sankhya Yoga. Correct? So that refers to Jnana Yoga only. Correct? So what is that? Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. So Jnana Yoga is for whom? Sankhyanam means sannyasi. Here what is mentioned is Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. That is means for sannyasi. So sannyasins means what? Those who prefer or who take the path of renunciation of action. Who take the path of renunciation of action. They will not be involved in active karma yoga. They will not be doing routine karmas, what we do. As you all know, different types of karmas are there, correct? Kamya karma, nimittik karma, like that, correct? So different types of nitya karma, nimittik karma, kamya karma, like that, correct? They will be doing only that nitya karma, whatever they have. They will not be engaged in either worldly activity. Enough is enough. I've seen the world, nothing more is to be gained. He is only interested in realizing the self. He just wants to pursue that what is my Atman, what is my Swarupa, what is Brahman. Only in that search I am wanting to go. So that is life of sannyasi, and that is called as Vividisa sannyasi. So understand that there are two types of people in this world, correct? One is worldly minded people, and second is spiritual aspirants, correct? So those who are spiritual aspirants, for them these two paths is there, One is Karma Yoga and one is Jnana Yoga. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. Lokesh bin Dvidanishta Pura Prokta Mahanaga. So those who are happy with the world and they have no other higher aspiration, for them this is not there. But for those who are sadhakas, those who are spiritual aspirants, there are two paths. One is Karma Yoga, one is Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga is what? Path of performance of action. And one is path of renunciation of action. But then Karma Yoga, what else is there in Karma Yoga? Is it only doing karma? Any karma can be called as a Karma Yoga. See, again, something good to understand here again. The whole philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is in stages. The first thing is, that you find a man is full of tamasa. He has got inertia. Physical, mental, intellectual. He will not want to actively engage himself in anything. Just try to remain idle. He is good for nothing. Neither for any secular world, nor for any spiritual world. He does nothing useful. But that is the first stage where you are bound by tamasa, inertia, physical, intellectual, mental, nothing. They are happy with yourself like that. They are good for nothing. They are good for nobody, not good for themselves. So first step Bhagavad Gita says is the evolution of human being is that you transform that man who is dull, who is deluded, who is inactive into action. So you transform the one who has the preponderance of tamas into rajas. You should find interest in the world. You should find happy, about doing something. You will not want to remain idle. You want to do something. But that is the first evolution, which is not a real spiritual evolution, but still the first evolution, as they say. Chinmaya Swamiji Maharaj also has said like that. So they put a man into action. One is sleeping, then transform him from tamas to rajas. Now, is this going to fulfill the purpose? No. Why? Then what is wrong about it? Instead of not doing anything, if I do something, if I do some activity, if I do in a legal way, righteous way, ethical way also, correct? Then also what's the limitation? If I'm doing in the wrong way, illegal way, unethical way, it is bad, correct? That certainly is going to be, very harmful. But if I do something ethically right, if I do something legally correct, if I'm morally right, and if I do activity day and night, if I keep on working, so I'm not doing any harm to anybody. I'm trying to do some good to the society also. I have some philanthropic view also in my mind. So what is wrong in that? Or what is the limiting factor in that?
Sattva is not predominant. Sattva is not predominant.
Sattva is not predominant, but that is true. Sattva is not predominant. But what is the consequence of that? If I keep on doing things, even with a good intention, I want to open schools, open hospitals, and do work here.
Maybe you are ignorant of what your end goal is.
That is true. That is true. But you can say like that. The main problem is you may theoretically know the goal also in that case, correct? Because ethically you are right. But the problem is that there is a sense of doership in that, or there is a sense of experience in myself, karta bhokta as they call it in Vedanta, As you know that there are 5 different koshas are there, correct? Everybody must have studied Annamaya kosh, Pranamaya kosh, Manomaya kosh, Vijnanamaya kosh, and Anandamaya kosh. So when you identify yourself with Vijnanamaya kosh, that is called as the karta. And when you identify yourself with the Anandamaya kosh, that is called as the bhokta. So here the sense of doership is there. That you think you are the doer, and because you are the doer, you will be the experiencer also. The one who is karta always become bhokta. So in a way we are doing good, nothing morally wrong we are doing. We are doing the thing in the right way. But because we are not doing the work in the right spirit, and the right spirit is, that, the whole of Jagat is there, such a good amount of organization element is there, and, you will understand a very finite role we have to play, finite but very significant role we have to play. So we have to realize that what I am doing is not something unique in myself, but, I am unique in, God has made me unique to do a particular job. But then that is a part of the divine scheme. When the whole thing is there, then I have to play my part with that understanding, with that spirit when I do. That everything that is there around is our Lord's creation. And whatever work I do is not for the fulfillment of my raga and dvesha, but for the exhaustion of raga and dvesha. So what will happen that if I do the raga and dvesha, ultimately I'll get karma phala. So, desire, karma phala, and karma phala is against you come back. And the whole cycle continues. But there is no evolution in that sense, That maybe when it goes to some higher realm, some swarga, heaven, what you call, but again a person comes back. So you're not evolving in the real sense of the term. So first step is, from idleness, if you come to that rajas or the active temperament, so that is the first evolution. The second evolution step is that wisdom-filled action. Yes, Jayantbhai Maharaj was calling, correct? That not just the action, but wisdom-filled action. And what is that wisdom? I understand that everything is a divine manifestation. Everything that happens has got a divine purpose, divine plan. And I have got some specific duty to perform, my swadharma, and I am doing whatever I am doing is a part of my swadharma. Now here I am reminded of one thing, what is said by Acharya Bhagavad. He was also a great scholarly person, and he has written very good commentary on Bhagavad Gita. I've read it in Gujarati actually. I don't know, it will be there in other languages also, the Gita Pravachana. And there he has said in a very simple way that the entire message of Bhagavad Gita can be conveyed in three simple statements, or three simple axioms. The first thing is immortality of the soul. I have to understand that soul means I, not that something different. That you understand. When we say soul means we understand something other than me, not that. So soul means I, my real sense. So immortality of the soul. So that soul is immortal. It has no birth, it has no death. All that we see in the second chapter. Then Shanabangurta, or the finiteness or the temporariness of this body. So all that subtle body, gross body, what you know, correct? So subtle body is there, gross body is there. It's all temporary. It has got limited existence, and that is why it's called as mithya also. So it doesn't stay forever. That is called as temporariness. So this body has got temporary existence. So that's called mithya. Anything which exists for a particular length of time, for a particular purpose, and then disappears, or anything which depends upon something what exists, and that's called as a mithya. Like that. So temporariness of that body, second thing. And the third thing he said, as I remember his exact words in Gujarati, Swadharmani abadhyata means indispensability of Swadharma. So Swadharma is indispensable. Swadharma has got to be necessarily there, a part of our spiritual process. So we understand that the nature of the Atman, that Advaita, Shantam, Priyam, all those attributes, that is one part. And second is Swadharmani abhadyata, means indispensableness of this Swadharma. So again, Swadharma is also a very difficult thing to understand. It all goes with Karma Yoga. But again, he gave a very good meaning of that Swadharma. So how do you decide what is my Swadharma? Apparently it is known. If you are doing a job descriptions is written, these are my jobs, Even if you are in the ashram also, there will be some role prescribed. So that is Swadharma. But that is one part of it. Something which I have to do at my level also, Swadharma also. So he said in a very simple way, every person knows where I am in my life right now and where I want to be. A realistic assessment, of what I am. Others may or may not know. I will know for myself for sure. If I am honest with myself, I will know what am I, what are my strengths, What are my limitations? What is my goal? All those things are known to me. So SWOT analysis in management, they call it strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, like that. So I know what am I. And within my framework, within my talents which I have, I know what best I can achieve. We will not aspire to become Prime Minister of India because we know that is not the faculty which I have, nor is the goal which I have in my mind, correct? So, what is the position, the place where I want to go in my life? So that will be considered as second point. And join these 2 points, that becomes further. These great people have a very simple way of elucidating very complex truths of life. You can get 100 different types of definitions of Swadharma also. Even in Bhagavad Gita also, whenever dharma word is used, is always Swadharma, many places. So he simply said that this is where I am, truly, true assessment. This is where I wish to be. That's called the Swadharma. And if I follow that Swadharma, then that is the first part of evolution. So in Bhagavad Gita, the first part is this Swadharma, and that is Karma Yoga. And unless and until that Swadharma is followed, Karma Yoga is followed, path of performance of action is followed, there cannot be a direct flight into Jnana Yoga. That will not succeed. And that is why the Karma Sannyasa, Karma Yoga Vishishate. When we have no knowledge of the self, it all starts with Karma Yoga. Even if we read Gurudeva's simple teachings, serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. So service is first and foremost. If any other person, comes to spiritual life, the first thing which he can do is service. Other things, japa will not be possible for him, meditation will not be possible, scriptural reading will not be possible, but service will be possible. That's a human natural tendency. So, in one of the places Mahatma Gandhi has also said, I read his sentence in one of the airports, that if you really want to serve in life, there is not a single moment where you don't have the opportunity to serve. So Lord has created an environment in such a way there are huge opportunities for anyone to do a kind of a selfless service. There is no dearth of that. And if we don't do that, means somebody else will do it. It is not that if we don't do it, somebody is going to suffer. It's all a divine plan. And Swami Vivekananda also used to say, that you say, I'm helping somebody is just an insult of God. You may say, God gave me a chance to serve. So that service is for our own evolution, our own purification. And that is what basically leads to Antakarana Shuddhi. There is a very highly technical way, it is explained by Chinmayan Swamiji in his commentary. It may be very long, but I'll say just a summary of that, what he's trying to say. What is Antakarana Shuddhi? So he said, in that Bhagavad Gita commentary mentions like this, that we have got these 5 Jnanendriyas, correct? The Chakshurendriya, Shrotrendriya, all these 5 Indriyas are there. And we are able to receive the impressions, perception that they call. Any knowledge which you get from the sense that called as a perception. So that thing which you perceive first comes to objective mind. He describes mind as 2 parts. Even Swamiji also says like this, but in a slightly different way. So one is called objective mind. One is called subjective mind. Right? So objective mind is the one which receives these impressions first. All kinds of the sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, all message, perception will come to the objective mind. The objective mind passes it on to subjective mind. Right? And objective mind in Sanskrit is called manasa. And subjective mind in Sanskrit is called as buddhi. That's called as buddhi. So he says that in between these 2, first you get the perception by the objective mind or the manasa. Through these egoistic desires, it is interpreted by buddhi or that is subjective mind. A healthy person, a happy person is the one who has a perfect understanding or correlation between the objective mind and the subjective mind. Even Chidananda Swamiji Maharaj also many places he said, if mind is following the buddhi or the objective mind is following the subjective mind, there is no problem. But if the reverse is the thing, then we are going in for a trouble. So like that, because this goes through objective to subjective mind, there are egocentric desires, through that it passes, so it gets colored. And in subjective mind, it is stored as an impression. And that is called as all these various sanskaras what we have, correct? So what Mahapurusha has explained us, that when we are born, we carry a certain load of impressions in our subjective mind, in our buddhi. Correct? And the goal is, this is to be exhausted. The goal is, this is to be exhausted. And that is Karma Yoga. That is Antakarana Shuddhi. Whatever granulations, they use the word granulation. The subjective mind is subjected to different granulations because of these impressions. And so because it is granulated, it will not be able to give the right message, one thing. So, and whatever message that Buddhi will give, according to these organs of senses, karmendriyas will carry out the action. Other thing, what they say, the subjective mind becomes so thickened, so opaque, that we are not able to perceive the self within. It becomes a kind of a opaque barrier, the subjective mind. Buddhi, it becomes so sthula that it becomes objective. That is actually the instrument which will reveal that Ishvara or the Antaryami. But because it gets thickened with the sanskaras, we are not doing it. So first requirement for realization, the revelation of that inner self, Antaryami, to get reflected in Buddhi, is we should make it pure. We should make it subtle. Mal we should remove, and then this grossness also we should remove. So the mind and the intellect should become purer. They should become subtler. Only then the Antaryami will get reflected and revealed to us. So the basic purpose of Karma Yoga here is this, that these granulations or the thickening of the impressions in subconscious mind has to be exhausted. Correct? And how to be exhausted? They say that Karma Yoga is the mechanism. Karma Yoga is the tool which God has given. So now, Chidananda Swami Maharaj also explained that if karma is inevitable, see, they say in Bhagavad Gita also at one place, correct? What is that word exactly? I cannot stay even for a moment without doing action, correct? Whether you want or whether you don't want, then always some action will take place. So if action is so spontaneous, if action is so unavoidable part of our being, how can it always be binding thing, Nature has made us like that knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly, we will do some action. So if action is such a strong force, how can it be only binding? How can it be binding? The Lord cannot have this kind of a situation where we are subjected to karma and they are always binding. The same karma, which has got a binding power, has got liberating force. Yesterday discussing about Maya also, same thing, correct? That what has got this binding power has a liberating power. So here it works like that. That karma is not only a binding, but it has got a tremendous liberating power also. And that is Karma Yoga. So first step of us, that from the inaction, we go to action. From tamas, we come to rajas. The second is that from the rajas, just go on mechanically doing the things, or doing the things without true understanding of the self. We do it in the spirit of Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga is what? As I said in a very simple way, that we always feel the presence of divine. We do the work for the God's sake, not Ahankara. So some sages say that offer the work to Ishvara, not to Ahankara. Offer the work to Ishvara. Normally what do? We offer it to Ahankara. Whatever work we do is prompted by our Ahankara. I am the doer, I am the doer. If I don't do this, this will not happen like that. So we do the work prompted by, supported by Ahankara. Don't do that. Ahankara is Ahankarta. I am doer, that feeling. So forget that, Then what I am doing is just a part of the duty, Swadharma, what has given. God's dispensation is so great. He has a role for me. I am performing. And I am doing in His presence. I am doing it as offering to Lord. Ishvara Karma. There is also called Buddhi Yoga in Bhagavad Gita at some places. So I am doing the work, feeling the presence of Lord, offering it as a worship. Yadyat karma karomi tattadakiram shambho tavaradana. I am doing it as a worship. So work done in a worship like that. Correct? And then I have no attachment. I have no raga dvesha, I have no attachment. So I have no attachment to work, particular karma. Normally we do only that work which we like. So here Karma Yoga says that no, not only the work, what I really is praise or something good to me, but what is destined for me, what is right for me. And what Karma Yogi sacrifices? Karma phala. He doesn't sacrifice the karma, but he sacrifices the karma phala. So, karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal heturvu mati sangot swakarmani. So here it is not that we will not get the fruits, or if you carry out the karma, fruits we should not expect. That's the only thing, correct? the fruits will be destined by the Ishvara as per the karma. But I should not do the work only with a view to get that particular fruit, but I should perform the work in an act of offering to Lord. So this is the beauty of Karma Yoga. It's a very great teaching of Bhagavad Gita and all other scriptures also. That in this spirit, if I do the work, then my antakaran becomes purified. The impressions which are there in the subconscious mind, in that that chitta and that buddhi also, they become degranulated, and then that becomes ready for the reception of the divine. Unless and until buddhi is purified, it is made settler, meditation will not lead us to anything. Even if we sit for meditation for half an hour also, only the thoughts which we think what we did in the past or what we like to do in the future, they will keep on surfacing. We will not be able to reach to the divine. We will not be able to reach to the core of our meditation target. So that mind has to be purified, and for that purpose this Karma Yoga is there. So first is from tamas to rajas, then rajas to sattva, which purifies it back. And the third step is that of meditation or Jnana Yoga. Correct? So in that case, that once antakarana is purified, we are able to contemplate on the self and we are able to reach the destination. And that is where the Jnana Yoga starts. So now here, again going by this particular verse, Lokesh means Dvida Nishta Pura Prokta Mayanaga Jnana Yoga Sankhanam Karma Yoga Yoginam. So first step, and Bhagavad says here, that the two lifestyles, two Nishta. One is Karma Yoga and one is Jnana Yoga. Right? So here, what happens to other two things? What happens to Bhakti and what happens to Dhyana? Because in Srimad Bhagavata, again they explain these three yogas very categorically, But according to some Vedanta teachers, they say only two lifestyles are there, and there is no such separate thing as Bhakti Yoga, there is no such separate thing as Raja Yoga. But let us try to understand what they also try to say. Not that they are contradicting the four yogas. What they try to convey is that Bhakti Yoga and Raj Yoga are very much embedded or very much incorporated in Karma Yoga as well as in Jnana Yoga. So you cannot practice Karma Yoga without Bhakti. But then we say that we do everything as an act of offering to Lord. We do the karmas feeling the presence of the Ishvara also. And ultimately, the fruits of the actions also, whatever comes to material, the prasada, that's called prasada buddhi. So you are very much doing your work in very presence of divine. So how is it that Karma Yoga is something which is devoid of bhakti? Right? So like that, and even what you call bhakti also is sometimes mansik karma also. Because when we carry out some kind of worship, there's physical work. And sometimes we carry out the japa and everything, that is called as the mansik bhakti also. So that is very much there. And without that bhakti, there can be no jnana. The Adi Shankara and others, if we see, then unless and until they have deep abiding love for the Ishvara, that knowledge will never accrue. So bhakti is something which is indispensable or very intricately connected with Karma Yoga as well as Jnana Yoga. So it did not be taken as a separate yoga in that sense. But then it is very much a part and parcel of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And likewise Raj Yoga also. Correct? That's supposing even if you consider that, and Swami Shivanji Maharaj yesterday also talking, and he says that Bhakti Yoga and Raj Yoga, they go hand in hand. They are not at all different. That Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga transforms into Raj Yoga. So even for a Karma Yogi also, whenever he performs some particular karma, he definitely will have to meditate on that particular task, on that particular object. And likewise in case of Jnana Yoga also, that when you say that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, so that Nididhyasana means meditation. Meditation on the self only. Right? So these are the two lifestyles, And on the first day, what we were discussing was the first method of Karma Yoga is called as posteriori by Swami Shivanji Maharaj. That is called as a posteriori. And what does it mean? It means we go from effect to cause. We go from effect to cause. See, first accept the effect and then you find out the cause. Further find out the cause. Further find out the cause. Till you reach the causeless cause. Till you reach the causeless cause. We'll just try to see tomorrow also that there are two different types of karana like that. So from the effect, you go to the cause. Causeless cause. That is posteriori method. Swami says this is my approach, posteriori method. This is the approach suitable to most people in the world also. Any artist, any scientist today, if you see, those who have discovered the greatest scientific truths, they have invariably ended up in this. The scientist who has discovered genome, and he found out that 30,000 different types of genomes, different genes, and how it regulates human constitution. Even an atheist that will eventually realize that there has to be something higher. It can't be an accident. The world is an intelligent creation. It can't be an accident. So all Vedantists, all the scientists are Vedantists in that sense of the term. Correct? And the other method is priori. So that is from cause to the effect. So directly they grasp the truth. So that is the sages of the yore and all those jnanis, they directly were revealing the self through antarjnana intuition. So that may be possible for very few people who have had very good punya karma in the previous years, and the antarjnana is ready. There is no need for purifying for that. But that is how priori and posteriori, or in other words, jnana yoga directly can be taken up, whereas 99% people, it will all start through karma yoga, and antarjnana gets purified, then you can take on to that. In relation to Tattvamasi, how this also is, maybe the way Gurudev inspires, will want to carry it forward too. Hari Om. I think that will be short.